Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's Desiree, or as you guys probably know, Desi Jones Fitness. For today's video I've decided that I'm going to talk about my transformation and how I got from suffering with anorexia to being the individual I am today. Obviously this is quite a sensitive topic, so I probably get a few tears, but I'll try not to. Hopefully this goes well. Okay, so growing up I was a girl that was very insecure. I was very shy. I didn't talk to anyone unless it was my mum, my siblings, and like my nan and granddad. Like, I was very held back and I had no confidence whatsoever. But growing up, I suppose I never felt I was good enough. I was always that friend that was pushed aside, and like I have had many comments made about me growing up, which obviously really upset me, because who likes nasty things being said about them? I'm not sure what year it is, but just before my 12th birthday, my mum and dad broke up, and this was very hard for me to deal with, my family as well. It was very distressing, as you can imagine it is for anyone. Like, I still remember the day like my dad walked out. It's got a funniness to it. So basically I was downstairs listening to a bit of Katy Perry. I think it was Fireworks, or Singing Away. Then it stopped and I was like, something ain't right. So I went upstairs and it was different, like, to a normal kind of argument. And my dad was like packing his stuff, and like my siblings were like crying in my sister's bedroom, and I joined them and I kind of realised what was happening. And then mum came in and she explained, and she hugged us all. There was three of us. My little brother was a baby, so he was, I don't know where he was. And we was all sat on the bed crying, and mum was hugging us, and my dad was like stood in the doorway, and the bed broke. I started laughing, but I was still crying. I was crying my eyes out, but I started laughing as well. And then like I looked up and my dad was gone, and I was like, oh. And that was really hard to deal with. But we did start seeing our dad after that, but he was always letting us down. And it was quite distressing, because he would say one thing but he would go against it. And I was the oldest, and there was a newborn, and there was like my sister's 2 years below me, and then my brother's like 5 years below me. Yeah. So you can imagine how confusing it is for them and distressing. Then all of a sudden my dad just vanished, and that was so hard to deal with. I couldn't cope with that. Like, it was really distressing, but that only happened for like a year. I don't know why, but like he just decided that he was gonna pack his bags and like move out of Taunton, away from us, and not have any contact, no explanation. And I found myself every day searching on the internet trying to find him, but I had no hope. And I remember I was at a friend's house and I finally found him, so I added him on Facebook, and then he accepted it, and he said he wanted to have contact with us, which was obviously really exciting for me. But obviously my mum was a bit dubious, obviously because he just left with no explanation. Anyway, we started seeing him again, and it was again like how it was before, constantly letting us down, making promises he couldn't keep. Obviously, you guys, some of you know I've had acne, I still do, but it was obviously a lot worse then. People used to take the mick out of me for that, and I was being called fat. I was constantly just being pushed out by friends, and when Dad kept letting us down, I don't know, like, I couldn't forgive him. So I don't know how my eating disorder happened, but it was kind of like I felt so out of control of my life that I needed something. I think I just lost my appetite, and I don't know, it just kept getting worse and worse, and I was like getting, like, the thought of food just made me want to be sick. I wasn't someone that made myself sick, I just didn't really eat a lot, and it got to the point where I actually lost a lot of weight, and I had a doctor's appointment, and my mum, I had to get weighed because it was for my pill for my acne, and you had to get weighed, and my mum said, is that a healthy weight? Is like, because she's lost a lot and she didn't really need to, sort of thing, and the doctor turned around and said you should be more concerned if she was overweight. So my mum was a bit like, oh, okay, but obviously mum instant, she didn't believe that everything was okay. So a few months later, obviously I became worse, and I went to the doctors again. I saw a different one, and they said how he didn't even need to put me on the scales, it was really obvious. So I had to have some blood test. Then I got referred to CAMHS, because obviously all my blood tests, because obviously you gotta have blood tests to make sure it's not like your body like doing it, sort of thing, so it's like a natural thing. So then I got referred to CAMHS, and when I arrived at CAMHS, I did not want to be there at all. I am still stubborn, but I was the most stubborn little girl ever. I didn't speak to them. I was like, I don't need to be here, everyone's overreacting, because I was in denial of the fact there was something wrong with me, because that's just the way mental illness works. So obviously I was getting help, but obviously I wasn't accepting the help, and I was becoming worse. And they said, if you get any worse, we're gonna have to take action. So it got to the stage where I wasn't allowed to do PE at school, so I wasn't allowed to do that. Then I carried on getting worse, and they said that I needed to be taken out of school. And I thought, why are they doing this to me? Why are they taking me out of school? Like, why are they being so dramatic? And then it got worse. I got down to 5 stone, I think it was. And they were threatening to take me away from mum. Oh god, I was trying not to cry. And that's when I panicked, like, I thought, oh my god, I can't be taken away from mum, because mum was the one I trusted. So from that day on, it kind of like clicked inside me that I needed to get better. I mean, it took me ages. Like, I didn't all of a sudden go, oh, I'm gonna stuff my face with food, but like, I don't know, I kind of forced myself to do what they wanted me to do, because I didn't want to be taken away from mum. I was kind of doing it for my mum rather than for myself. As my weight went up, I still wasn't happy. I've got some paperwork that is obviously from my eating disorder, and there's pack A and B, and it was just like how overcoming an eating disorder, and I had to fill stuff out, but I didn't always fill it out. But there's some stuff I wrote. Sometimes when I stand up I get dizzy. I also get very tired during the day. I did lose my period, but I started taking a pill for my acne and it gave me one. So obviously, because I still had a period, but I shouldn't have been because my body was too unhealthy. It was like a fake period, if that makes sense. It was because of the pill, because it was a hormone. So obviously it made it very hard for me to think there was something wrong with me, because I shouldn't have been having one. Even Cam said that, like, when you're underweight, that's one thing that goes. Obviously it did go, but I got it back. Okay, so I was took out of school, and no one made an effort with me, so I didn't have like any sort of friend support. I don't know if that's because they didn't understand or what, but I didn't have that. And when I used to see my dad, and when I'd go there, my dad would constantly get angry at me because I wouldn't eat certain things, and I felt that I was gonna be quite grown up and tell my dad that I'd been diagnosed with an eating disorder, and that is why I was the way I was, and I was hoping that that would stop him being annoyed at me. So I told him, and he said how he would be very supportive, and soon as that happened he said, "Oh, we're gonna go to Mackie D's," and I was just like, I don't eat that. But he still took us there with his friend, and he turned around and said, "My daughter isn't eating because she's got an eating disorder, bless her." And it just really upset me, because it almost seemed like it was okay that there was something wrong with me, and it was okay that I wasn't eating. So I almost felt like what I was doing was right and everyone was being silly and I didn't need to eat. And it really upset me. And then the weekend after, or 2 weeks after, went again and he did the exact same thing. So then I wasn't allowed to see my dad until I felt confident enough with like food, and it just really upset me because my dad didn't understand, which obviously it is understandable he didn't understand, but he didn't support me at all, like not one bit. And like when I said that I've got to get myself better, he didn't bother with me at all. He didn't ask me how I was or anything like that. So that was very hard for me to deal with. So I was constantly in a battle of trying to get better for my mum. I had all of these feelings of not feeling good enough for my dad. I felt like he didn't care about me, and I was so low within myself that I didn't even know who I was anymore. But I don't know, like it's kind of hard to explain my story when most of those years are actually a blur. It's crazy, like the illness took those 3-4 years away from me. it even took it away from my mum. Like, we was all so sucked in trying to fight for me that those years have just like gone, and I don't even know like what happened. It's, I don't know, so it's crazy to think that. But I remember I started getting like a bit more confident with food, and I decided that I was going to see my dad again, and I had a CAMHS appointment before that, and yeah, he knew that, and I was like, oh, I might be like 10 minutes late because he was coming at 11:30, and like that was when mine was due to finish, and I was like really excited. And then like, I got back and my dad had left without me, and oh my god, did that break my heart. So ever since that day, I decided that I didn't want anything to do with my dad. And it's weird because that took so much pressure off of me, like, because not allowing him in my life meant that I wasn't getting let down, and that helped me. So what helped me recover was to remove those who were bringing negativity into my life, whether they are meant to be someone you thought would love you and adore you and care for you no matter what. Sometimes they're the people you don't need in your life, and obviously he was one. And to this day I don't see him, and I don't need him, because I did it with my mum, with the CAMHS help, and my mum's family as well, and I've met some amazing people on the way that have helped me. Something I would like to talk about is, many people will say that, like, I went to CAMHS, like, this service will not help, it's a load of rubbish. But the thing is, when you as a person do not want help, the service is useless. People can give you as much help as they possibly can, but until you realise what is going on and you realise that you know that you need to change, is when all that help will be useful. Because obviously I started off going to a service and going, why am I here? You guys are overreacting, and I didn't get any better. And then it took to the point that I was took out of school, I was going to be taken away from my mum, that I realised that I needed to get better, and I wanted to. I didn't like destroying my family around me, and that's when the service I was at helped me. You are the person that can change everything, because it's down to you. Obviously you can't do it alone. I would not be here if I didn't have the support that I did, and I was very lucky that my mum stood by me and she didn't give up after that first doctor, because that was very dangerous. Like, if my mum thought, oh no, she's fine, I may not be here right now. I could be someone that was still suffering. Luckily I'm not, and I somehow managed to get through it all. And so many people going through it think it is impossible to fight, it's impossible to get over, but I promise you it is. It's a very long journey, but it is so worth it. Like, honestly, recovery is the best thing I have ever done I'm so much more confident. I'm willing to speak out in front of people. I don't care what people think about me anymore. I am the happiest I have ever been in life. Like, looking at photos, like when I smile, it's the most realist smile ever. Like, I've got such a cheesy smile, but it's real and I love it. And I've learnt to accept myself for me and to love myself for me. And self-love is honestly so important. It doesn't make you vain. Like, people think that when you love yourself it's being vain, but self-love and vanity are completely different things. Self-love is the most important kind of love. You should love yourself to allow other people to love you. And the thing is, you need to be happy within yourself to allow good people to come into your life, because when you are weak and vulnerable, I met so many people that were not true to me, and since being happier and just being me, I've met the most amazing friends. Not very many, they fit on one hand, but they are the best, and I couldn't be more grateful for them. I've got my family, and then I've got my mum's boyfriend and her family, no, his family, he's not a girl, and they're like the most important people in my life that set me for me and have supported me through thick and thin.